We hear this word everywhere now, boundaries. Set boundaries with your boss, have better boundaries in relationships. But what do therapists actually mean when they talk about boundaries, and why do they matter so much in your mental health? In this video, we are going to unpack what boundaries really are, what they are not, and how to start setting them, even if it makes you feel guilty or uncomfortable at first. In simple terms, boundaries are the limits we set with others and ourselves about what we are okay with and what we are not. They are not about control, they are about clarity. Think of them like a property line, not a wall to keep people out, but a way to define where you end and someone else begins. There are different types of boundaries: physical, who can touch you, how close someone stands; emotional, whether someone respects your feelings or invalidates them; time, how much of your time you're willing to give; mental, your right to your own thoughts, opinions, beliefs; material, what you're comfortable sharing or lending; energetic, how much emotional labor you're willing to offer in a relationship. Without healthy boundaries, we can become overwhelmed, resentful, or disconnected from our own needs. With boundaries, we create relationships where both people can feel safe, respected, and free. Boundaries allow us to be close without losing ourselves. Let's burst a few myths. Myth 1: boundaries are selfish. Truth: boundaries protect your well being. You can't pour from an empty cup. Myth 2: if someone gets upset with my boundaries, I must be doing something wrong. Truth: people often react when we shift dynamics, especially if they benefited from our lack of boundaries. Myth 3: boundaries mean cutting people off. Truth: most of the time, boundaries are not about ending relationships, they're about making them healthier. Setting boundaries doesn't always mean drawing a hard line or cutting someone off. In real life, it's about finding the middle path, where you protect your peace without shutting people out. Let's say your friend often calls late at night to vent. You care about them, but it's starting to affect your sleep. Instead of ignoring their calls or pretending everything's fine, you might say, "Hey, I really want to be there for you, but I need to get rest after 10 pm. Can we catch up earlier in the day?" This way, you're respecting yourself, your need to rest, respecting them, you're still showing care, and meeting the objective. Another example: you're getting constant messages from a coworker after hours. Instead of replying with irritation or ghosting, you might say, "I've started unplugging from work after 7 to recharge. I'll check this in the morning and get back to you." You're not being cold or lazy, you're setting a clear expectations. Healthy boundaries are less about saying no harshly and more about saying yes to what matters: your energy, your values, and your relationships. Here's a helpful way to think about boundaries, especially if you struggle with when to open up or hold back. It's called the three-door theory. Imagine your personal boundaries as a house with three doors. The first door is wide open. This is where there are no boundaries at all. You say yes to everything, absorb everyone's emotions, and often feel drained, taken for granted, or even invisible. People can walk in, rearrange your furniture, and leave without saying thank you. This door can feel generous, but over time, it leads to burnout, resentment, or even people pleasing as a form of survival. The second door is completely shut. This is when the walls are up. No one gets in, not even the people who care about you. You might avoid vulnerability, push others away, or isolate emotionally. It feels safer in the short term, but it also gets lonely inside. This door often forms when trust has been broken or when someone's been taught to equate boundaries with rejection. The third door is selective. It opens with intention. You decide who enters, when, and how far they go. Some people might only stay in the hallway, others may earn their way to your inner circle, your living room, maybe even your heart. This door is the goal of healthy boundaries, Not to shut people out, but to filter what supports your well being and what doesn't. Because boundaries are not about controlling others, they are about protecting your energy, peace, and values. Ask yourself, am I always holding the door open even when I'm tired or uncomfortable? Am I slamming the door shut to avoid disappointment or vulnerability? Or am I learning to open the third door with thought, care, and choice? Boundaries don't need to be walls. Sometimes they're just doors with working locks, and you get to hold the key. Let's pause and try a quick boundary check in. Grab a pen or just reflect quietly. Ask yourself, when was the last time I felt resentful in a relationship? Being unaware of or not stating your boundaries can lead to resentment in relationships. Did I say yes when I wanted to say no? Did I avoid a conversation because I didn't want to upset someone? These are signs that boundary might be missing or unclear. Now, say this out loud if you feel comfortable. It's okay for me to take care of myself. My needs are valid. I can set limits and still be kind. Sometimes the hardest boundaries are the ones we set with ourselves, but awareness is the first step towards change. Here are a few simple but powerful tools to help you start. First, tune into your discomfort. If something feels off, that's often a clue a boundary is being crossed. 2. Start with I statements. I need more space. I feel overwhelmed when. It makes your boundary clear without blaming the other person. Don't over explain. A boundary doesn't need a long defense. No, I won't be able to do that is a full sentence. Fourth, practice. Like any skill, boundary setting takes repetition and courage. You won't get it perfect, and that's okay. Setting boundaries often bring up guilt, especially if you're used to people pleasing. You might ask, am I being rude? Will they still love me? Is it selfish to put myself first? It's natural to have these fears, but they can be explored and challenged. Try this simple CBT based thought exercise. Write down the fear. For example, if I say no, they'll think I don't care. Then ask yourself, what's the evidence for this thought? What's the evidence against it? What might I say to a friend who felt this way? You can also try a fear versus fact list. On one side, write the fear. On the other, write what you know to be true. For example, fear, they'll be angry if I speak up. Fact, if someone respects me, they listen. If they don't, that's information. And finally, get curious about what your boundaries really are. What do I need to feel safe in this relationship? What behavior makes me feel disrespected? Where am I betraying myself to keep the peace? Exploring these questions builds clarity, and clarity builds confidence. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to say no without explaining. You're allowed to protect your peace. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to healthier relationship. If this video helped, share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And remember, setting boundaries isn't mean, it's mature and it's deeply healing.